I've realized that I'm not just putting a video out, I'm not just making a painting, I am serving the highest version of myself when I create. I go by every year thinking, gosh, like, I never expected that to happen. The more I realize that I'm not the only one going through a lot of personal challenges in life. I live in a bubble, right? Like, I live in my own bubble, and I have to constantly try to remind myself to go outside of my bubble. There are inevitably going to be things that come up for us that are outside of our control. This is something that isn't to be kept for myself. Hello and welcome to another episode of Teaside Thursday with your artist friend Win. And today I want to show you something actually. So what I have for my choice of tea today is actually very heartwarming and very personal to me. So by the way, if I sound nasally, it's because I'm just getting over a cold. We had a very cold and windy, like freezing period in England, which I have to say, like this winter, at least for like this like short spurt, has felt much colder than the other winters. I haven't checked any stats. I don't know if that has been confirmed or not, but it just has felt colder. And last week, like both my partner and I got smacked down with a cold that, to be honest, left me like pretty beat up for a whole 3 days. But thankfully, I'm getting better. And to be honest, I think a part of the recovery has also been taking lots of fluids. When I was ill, especially, I was having just this drink. So I want to show you what I'm drinking today. This big bag of tea is from my home country of Myanmar. So we bought it when we were away last November visiting my home country, and it looks like a big bag of tea, right? To be honest, this big bag of tea is probably going to last this whole year and possibly even more, because what you need to brew even this whole jug of tea is like a really tiny amount, like I don't know, if I take my little finger, it's only like that much of tea that you need. I don't actually know the actual brand or the type of herbal tea this is. In my home country, we just call it Myanmar tea or Burmese tea. So that's what we always call it, like Burmese tea. But actually, it's not milk tea, it's herbal tea. Traditionally, what people do, as I'm doing now, is to basically like brew a whole jug of tea. And this jug is amazing because it lasts for like a day and a half. I could just leave like hot water in here and it would still be warm the next day. That's how insulated this is. And it has this like really cool function where you press it at the top and it comes out. And it's a pretty old jug, but my mom gave it to me and it's really amazing. Like very sturdy kind of like equipment. But anyway, so that's basically what I'm gonna be drinking as we talk about this week's Teaside Thursday topic. So let me just pour a cup before I speak to you about the topic. What's really interesting to me about this particular tea is it's actually served as like not like black tea, but quite a clear tea. I'm gonna try and like take a video on the side and show you, but it's quite a clear tea. And it's not meant to be brewed to be like very heavy and very thick. So yeah, it's really nice. It's light and it's exactly what you want for winter when sometimes, especially when you're ill, like I don't know about you, but when I'm ill, for some reason, I can't just, chug down like just plain water. So I basically have been drinking this whole jug pretty much all day, every day this winter. So, without further ado, let's get into this week's topic. I want to spread some positivity and I want to spread some joy and inspiration this week because you know what? Today I'm feeling pretty good, and also I want to share with you like this resource that I found immensely helpful that has pretty much changed my perspective on the way I approach my creativity, my purpose, my intention. And I want to share it with you because this is something that isn't to be kept for myself. And because you are a part of, this little community that we're building, I think it's important to share the good stuff that we find. So, this book, hopefully, it's not like back to front, but it's called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. And it's a tiny book like this. And the chapters are so short. Like, it can be as short as this. Each chapter has very concise description, a piece of writing that really just sort of hits to the point of what he's trying to say. It's not really philosophical or poetic, but it's a very, I would say, like very thoughtful and practical book. And it's called Turning Pro, Tap Your Inner Power and Create Your Life's Work by Stephen Pressfield. And you might have read another book of his before called The War of Art, which I have read before, but it didn't make as much of an influence on me as this book did. And this isn't actually going to be like a book review, but I actually want to delve into a couple of pages that have really inspired me and have made an impact on, like I said, like, just the way I feel about my life, my purpose, and my creative practice. So I want to read it to you first, and then maybe we can talk a little bit about it afterwards. So I'm going to start reading to you the chapter now. It's just 2 pages. A practice has a space. A practice has a space, and that space is sacred. There's a wonderful book called Where Women Create. It's a compilation of photos of studios and workshops where various female artists do their magic. The workspaces are those of potters and weavers, quilters and dressmakers, architects and sculptors, painters, filmmakers, and editors. The book has an excellent text, but you don't need to read it. Just look at these sacred spaces. What you'll see is this: order, commitment, passion, love, intensity, beauty, humility. 26 artists with 26 different personal odysseys. Many, no doubt, include divorce, heartbreak, alcoholism, you name it. But every woman in this book has, in her artistic life, transcended these impediments, and everyone has arrived at the same space. They all serve the Muse, and each has discovered in that service her unique and authentic essence. I'm actually going to stay with this page, first of all, and I want to tell you the part that really hits me. I think the first part is really beautifully written, but what has especially hit me is the last paragraph of this page where he writes 26 artists with 26 different personal odysseys. Many no doubt include divorce, heartbreak, alcoholism, you name it. But every woman in this book has, in her artistic life, transcended these impediments, and everyone has arrived at the same space. And I feel really emotional just sharing this with you, because I don't know about you, but as I get older, I realize more and more that life has been an act of a delicate balance between my passion, my purpose, and also the personal things that happen, outside of the work that we do. And there's a poet that I really like, who my friends always hear me talk about, called David Whyte. I especially also recommend his work, but he often talks about the 3 marriages in life that will sort of accompany us like throughout our excuse me, from when we undertake our professional life to pretty much the rest of our life until we get old, is this 3 marriages that we have between, first of all, us and ourselves, us and our marriage with the partner that we've chosen, if we choose to stay in a marriage or a partnership. And the last one is our marriage to our work. So what I wanted to say, especially sort of mentioning the poet David Whyte and this paragraph that says, 26 artists with 26 different personal odysseys. Many, no doubt, include divorce, heartbreak, alcoholism, you name it. But every woman in this book has, in her artistic life, transcended these impediments, and everyone has arrived at the same space. I think that is so beautiful, because I can sort of count a lot of unexpected things that have happened in my recent adult life that I didn't expect would happen, And I talk about it a little bit in my latest art vlog called Brave Enough, where I share with you the saying that my grandma told me, like when I was young, like in my early 20s. She said to me, when like life hasn't happened to you yet. And I can comfortably say in my 30s that I go by every year thinking, gosh, like I never expected that to happen. I never expected this to happen. And it's mostly been around, yes, like, my career and work life has changed. Obviously, because I made a personal decision to go from a career in landscape architecture to an artist. But at the same time, so has my personal life. There are always, I think, many different things that come up that we don't expect. Not to mention the life events that happen that can really like break us sometimes. Like the more I sort of try to get more in touch with myself, the more I realize that I'm not the only one going through a lot of personal challenges in life. Like, there are a lot of people who are also dealing with physical and mental health challenges, family life that can be difficult. Like, the list goes on. And the thing about us as humans, most of the time, including myself, is I live in a bubble, right? Like, I live in my own bubble, and I have to constantly try to remind myself to go outside of my bubble through events like traveling or listening to podcasts or reading books about different stories about people, because we only know what is in our immediate environment and in our personal life as part of our reality. And because of that, I don't think a lot of us, including myself, can like stretch our imagination enough to actually even try to understand and comprehend how many different minute to large challenges that people are going through, from even, things like pain, like physical pain, emotional pain, like those. And that's why like this paragraph speaks really high to me, because like divorce, heartbreak, alcoholism, these things may be personal challenges for you, as there have been and still I have many personal challenges in my life as well. I love this particular page, and why I find it so inspiring is I just really like this sort of image of these artists who have gone through their personal challenges and still are turning up to their creative space, to their personal studios, and showing up to create work. That's what I'm realizing over and over again coming into this artistic career, is no matter what it is that I'm dealing with outside of YouTube, the videos, my paintings, no matter whatever chaos is happening outside of that, I still have the responsibility to, as the book calls it very poetically, serve the muse. So I just think that's a really beautiful way of saying it. But, just sort of turn up to create work in spite of all the things that are happening outside of our control, in spite of, the chaos that might have just sort of turned our lives upside down. I really think there is a beauty in still turning up and just sort of working with our hands, working with our minds, using our whole bodies to create something. Like, isn't that beautiful? Like, and I guess coming into 2026, and now it's January. Like, what day is it? It's 12th of January, so it's coming up to mid-January. And we've all, I'm sure, to a certain extent, like have, started our journeys, right? Like, I'm pumped up. Like, I find it very inspirational that we get the opportunity in the turning of the new year to start over, give some grace to ourselves and start again. Like, I feel very energetic about this sort of like aliveness in this time of the year. But I think what's going to be more telling and what's going to be more impactful is, as the months go on in 2026, from January to February to March, and then spring comes around, at least in the Western Hemisphere, we've got April, May, June, and then summer, July, August, September, October, November, autumn, then December, back again, winter. As the seasons change, as the months go on, there are inevitably going to be things that come up for us that are outside of our control. There will be things that will ask us to adapt to these changes. You might end up having extra responsibilities that you have to sort of schedule into your life, and that sort of responsibility might not be something that you want to do, you're completely disinterested in, but it's just that you have to do it because it's for some reason the right time to do it, or you have no choice to do it. Things like that are going to come up. Someone that you know, that you love, might ask you for help, and you have to decide in that moment whether you want to lend your precious time, your precious energy to help them out. And if so, like, what does that then mean for you turning up into your own kind of studio, your own kind of work? And I think that we always have a choice in life to decide like what we want to take on, what we don't want to take on. What I'm sort of aiming personally for myself is that, this year, in spite of the adaptation to life, this sort of like responding to whatever might come up, I also want to, as these 26 artists are doing with their 26 different personal odysseys, I want to live out my own personal odyssey alongside the sort of chaotic beauty, chaos, and messiness of life. I still found a space in my day, in my week, in my month to just show up and to have served myself and to the muse, however you want to call it, like this, creative energy, to have created something that inevitably, I think, makes a difference in my life. And I hope that it makes a difference in the lives of those who come into contact with my work. And I wish the same for you too. And I want to actually now move on to the second page, which is actually very related to what I've just said, but maybe he says it in a more precise way. So this is what the second page says. A practice has a time. The monks in their saffron robes mount the steps to the zendo at the same hour each morning. When the abbot strikes the chime, the monks place their palms together and sit. You and I may have to operate in a more chaotic universe, but the object remains the same: to approach the mystery via order, commitment, and passionate intention. When we convene day upon day in the same space at the same time, a powerful energy builds up around us. This is the energy of our intention, of our dedication, of our commitment. The goddess sees this energy and she rewards it. If I read this book like 2 years ago, all of these would have seemed like words to me. But now I see each word in these sentences differently. Words like order, commitment, passionate intention, dedication, like these mean differently to me now. And I think it's also because having read this whole book, I've also reflected about it and wrote about it in my journal. I have realized that I'm not just putting a video out. I'm not just making a painting. I am serving the highest version of myself when I create. I am working with the energy of focus, love, intention, passion, and generosity. Or at least I try. At least I try. And I think that alone, if all of us do it, will bring so much into our lives. And oftentimes, especially at this day and age, and I was also guilty of this, and I'm still guilty of it, we often do something expecting to get something back. Like, we might say in this context, put out a video on YouTube expecting to get lots of views and praise and encouragement. But I'm actually coming around to thinking more and more that the healthiest thing for us to do, especially in our modern times, is to sort of focus on the energy that we are bringing into projects like making a YouTube video, and just sort of give it like freely, generously, serve your higher self in creating your own kind of work. And it is true, we're not monks in a monastery or a temple. We haven't, sort of taken precepts to let go of our worldly ambitions and worldly sort of material possessions and all of that. And because of that, like, I think our lives are much more chaotic and much more dynamic sometimes. And it's sort of like, trying to find peace in and amongst the chaos, which is easier said than done. But I think how we find that is through our own way of entering into not only our work, but also with ourselves. So I think I talked about, like some of these things in like various videos and Teesside Thursday podcast episode. But I think especially at this day and age, like having a practice, having an activity that allows you to sort of zone out the outside world, zone out the noises that you feel are sort of overcrowding you, and get more in touch with yourself, get more in touch with sort of what you're feeling and thinking and what's going through your own imagination. It's going to reward you tenfold with so much more creativity and so much more life energy than sort of being so focused on the external sort of noise. Sometimes we can't sort of shut ourselves away forever because, as I was saying, like we're not monks in monasteries. But I think carving out times throughout the day, like either first thing in the morning, last thing at night, briefly in the middle of the day, or however you want to do it, like maybe this could be another Teesside Thursday episode where we brainstorm, ways of getting in touch with ourselves. Because I've done so much in the last few years of my like late 20s and early 30s to really try to cultivate a stronger sense of groundedness and also like this stronger sense of self that feels much more like whole, if that makes sense. But I think even just having a space that you come to create your work, like these things make a huge difference. And I think carving out that physical or mental space, despite, the chaos and the personal challenges and things that will come up in our year, like if we try to be able to sort of do that more and more, I think that's also how we will also be able to accomplish our goals. In the last Teesside Thursday episode, we talked very practically about goals, right? But what are goals if we don't have like a daily sense of groundedness, a daily sense of being in touch with ourselves that allows us to also not only ground ourselves in our physical body, but also get in touch with our higher sense of creativity, higher self, this higher energetic force that is in line with sort of using our bodies as vehicles to create good in the world. Yeah. I really hope that this episode made sense. I wanted to keep it not too long, but also not too short either, and try to sort of talk about what basically I just wanted to share these 2 pages with you. Like, that was my main sort of intention with this, because I just think it's so beautiful. I hope that as 2026 continues, we can all continue this with this energy that we started out with. It's inevitable that we will be stressed, we will be heartbroken, we may be hurt, we may be down in certain moments of the year. Like, someone once said to me that, in the year, like, because we're human, like, it's very common for us to have like energy dips and high energy and then dips again, and it's like a wave. What I'm really interested in is, despite the wave, this chaos, this uncontrollable sort of chaotic universe that we live in, like can I still enter into the space where I can get in touch with myself and produce my highest work, however that may look like for me, like in that day, in that week, in that month. I think as the seasons change, our work will change. But what I want to keep is that intention to keep showing up, like to keep showing up to serve that muse, to serve my higher self, to keep showing up despite feeling low in my mood, or not very energetic, or stressed about personal, practical things in my life, like, but still be able to carve out like this time of my day, of my week, where I show up and I'm in touch with the creative powers that be, and just create something that is innocent and pure, because that's what I believe that all creative works are. I think all creative works are innocent and pure, because it's like an innocent child. Like, it comes from the part of us that just wants to express. Nothing more, nothing less. It just wants to express. So, yeah. I'm gonna stop it there, because I feel like this is one of those episodes where if I just keep talking, it's gonna stop making sense in the end. So I'm just gonna drink some tea. And end the episode here. So, if you're tuning in to Teaside Thursday podcast, I really want to thank you for being here. I hope that, spending time with me with a cup of tea is like a little stopping point in your day, and maybe a little bit of strength to continue with your day too. And I just want to say that, whatever day that you're having today, you're doing your best, and you're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. And just keep putting one foot in front of the other in whatever pace that feels right for you. And I will see you in a future Teaside Thursday episode. And if you've tuned in, don't forget to let me know in the comments, what hot drink are you drinking with me today? And if you have any book recommendations for me, let me know in the comments. And if there's any part of this conversation that has gave you some food for thought, let me know what that thought is, because I would love to know, what went through your mind as you heard this, like, couple of pages of this book. I know it struck a nerve for me when I read it, so I would definitely be interested to know what you thought of it. Okay, I will leave it here, and yeah, see you in the future Teesside Thursday episode. Bye.
I'm running up stones on the edge of the bank. Rally the troops for another refrain. I sing this softly to myself. I sing this softly